Now one thing we could do is not dig all this up and just leave it here, and this stuff would sprout again come next summer. But I want to dig it all up so we can kind of split it up, divide it, and multiply it a little bit. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? I hope everybody out there is having an awesome day. It is Saturday, January 7th here in South Georgia, and today we got a few things we need to do in the garden. We need to check on our Brussels sprouts here behind me. We're doing a little experiment there with the 2 rows we have growing, so we need to continue along with that experiment, kind of check on, see how it's going so far, and then we're going to go back over that way a little bit. Our turmeric is officially toast after the Arctic blast. We need to dig up our turmeric and see what we've got there. Now before we talk about these beautiful Brussels sprouts right here, I had told y'all after the Arctic blast that I thought there was about a 40% chance or so that this cauliflower may make it. Well, turns out there's a 0% chance that it's going to make it. So not going to get any cauliflower from our fall grow out. That's what happens when you don't cover it and you get 16 degrees. So if we want some cauliflower, we're probably going to have to plant a little more. But unlike the broccoli and the cauliflower, Brussels sprouts are champions of the cold. And these plants are looking really, really good. Probably some of the best looking Brussels sprout plants I have ever had. Some of them are getting close to 3 foot tall there towards the middle of the row. So one of the things I've kind of learned this year about Brussels sprouts specifically is that they are really, really, really heavy feeders. Now I know things closely related to Brussels sprouts like cabbage tend to be heavy feeders as well. If you want to make a big head of cabbage, you got to give it plenty of nitrogen. So I knew Brussels sprouts needed some extra nitrogen. I just didn't ever realize how much. And we've gave these a good bit more this year than we have in the past, and the result is some nice, big, tall, healthy looking plants. So I think some of my Brussels sprout failures in the past could have been a result of me just not feeding them enough. And it seems like you just really, really got to pour the nitrogen to them to get some nice, robust plants there. So we've got some good looking plants, and hopefully that means we'll get some stalks full of good looking sprouts as well. These things will test your patience. They take a long, long time to grow. Now you'll notice this row here looks a little more bushy than this row here. So we're doing a little experiment with pruning the plant, some of the bottom limbs there, to see if that gives us a little more sprout production. And the thought process here is that if we take off some of those lateral limbs, that maybe the plant will devote more energy into sprout production as opposed to just feeding all these leaves here. So we've already pruned this row one time. We cut off about 1/3 or half of those bottom limbs, and I can't tell it's made a huge difference in plant height. Both of these rows look fairly equal. There's some, you know, slight undulations along the row there, but no significant differences in plant height for the ones we pruned versus the ones we didn't. And right now I also can't tell a huge difference in sprout production. So this is one of the plants that hasn't been pruned. You can see we're getting some little sprouts starting to develop there along the stalk. If we go over here to one of the ones that we did prune, look inside there, starting to get some little bit of sprout production there as well. Looks about the same, not any significant differences so far. So nothing really conclusive thus far with prune versus just letting it go, but we're going to continue along with this experiment, and today for the row that we've already pruned one time, we're going to prune it a little bit more. Now I have read that you don't want to take off too many leaves at one time because that can kind of stress the plant a little bit and may hurt your sprout production. Don't know if that's true or not. I guess we'll see. We're not going to cut off a bunch of leaves today. We're going to work our way up the plant a little bit more though. So we're going to take our little snippers here and probably going to get all the limbs to about 2/3 the way up the stalk. I'm going to cut them out a little bit, not going to cut them real close to the stalk because I don't want to damage these little sprouts that are forming here. We're just going to chop and drop these leaves just like that, and we'll see if it makes a difference in the long run. Alright, so got that row pruned there, chop and drop, and now there's a pretty stark contrast between these bushy plants we haven't touched and these that we pruned. And on the ones that we pruned, now you can kind of see where we're at. This as far as sprout production at this point. So still a ways to go before we're able to harvest any Brussels sprouts here, but I like what I'm seeing so far, and barring anything crazy happening, I think we're going to have some good groceries from these 2 rows here. Now, as far as the experiment goes, as I was pruning those and looking closer at both rows, I'm leaning towards the fact that the key to Brussels sprout production is to really feed the plants, and that doesn't have anything to do with pruning or anything like that, that it's all about giving them plenty of nutrients. We'll see in another month or 2 if that's true or not, but that's the way I'm leaning right now. So now the Brussels sprouts are taken care of, let's get after this 40-foot row of turmeric behind me. So we let this turmeric grow as long as it could grow, and it actually survived a couple light frosts in November. When the Arctic blast came around, that was it. You can see those plants are done, but that shouldn't affect our turmeric that we have in the ground there. So if you're new to the channel or haven't been following along, let me tell you how we got to this point here. So in summer of 2021, we had a viewer send us a little bag of turmeric that we planted in one of our fire ring raised beds over there by the barn. Grew out really well. We ended up harvesting it, I'd say late fall, early winter. And from that little fire ring raised bed, we got a little over a gallon Ziploc bag full of turmeric. We took about half that, dried it in the oven, ground it up, used it in smoothies, cooking, stuff like that. And then we took the other half, left it in the fridge for a little while, and then planted it right here in winter of 2022. So January, February or so of 2022. It didn't come up until the summer, about mid to late summer, we started seeing it come up. We kind of forgot about it or thought it wasn't going to come up at all, but it finally came up midsummer of this past year. Grew out pretty well. This spot's not quite as shady as it needs to be for turmeric, but it was the shadiest spot we have amongst our in-ground garden, so the best we could do. Grew pretty well, and then we let it just keep growing until the Arctic blast finally killed the plants. Now if these plants were still green, we could probably pull this stuff up, but since the plants are toast, we're going to have to reach down here, probably get a digging fork and dig this stuff up. I can see some right there. Nice little bunch of turmeric growing. So we're probably going to have to get the digging fork and dig it up. Now one thing we could do is not dig all this up and just leave it here, and this stuff would sprout again come next summer. But I want to dig it all up so we can kind of split it up, divide it, and multiply it a little bit. So we're not going to leave any of the ground intentionally. We may end up leaving some of the ground, you know, just by some breaking off when we harvest it. We're going to try to get it all up. That way we can split it up and plant even more next year. But before I go poking around in here with a digging fork, I got 2 lines of drip tape that was feeding this turmeric I need to get up because I want to save it. So disconnect those from the main line there. Put that over there. And we're going to pull up both of these drip lines. Then we can start digging. Alright, let's see what we got here. Now we pulled up a few of these back in the fall before the plants died, and we had some decent looking roots on them, but hopefully they grew a little more, and we've got some even bigger roots now. Try to get down here, move some of those wood chips out of the way, see how deep we got to go to get this thing out of the ground. There we go. Not a huge one right there. It's kind of small, hard to see till we knock some of that dirt off of them. Hopefully they'll get bigger than that as we work down the road. Let's see what we got on this next one here. That was a little better than the first one, not by a whole lot. There's a good one. That one's real good there. Oh yeah. Maybe those at the beginning of the row were just runts. Alright, that's what we got. Kind of hard to see because Got a bunch of dirt stuck to them. Got some decent ones in there, but the size was a little smaller than what we grew last year over there by the barn. I think it had a lot to do with the fact that this area isn't as shaded as it is over there. Let me take these over there to the water hose and blast them, and we'll be able to see it a lot better. Now that we've got them rinsed off, we can kind of see what we have here. Got a few puny ones in there, but also got a few nice ones, like that one right there. I'm not mad about that. So we can take a nice hunk like this right here and break this up into quite a few plantable pieces. We could probably get, I don't know, 8 or 9 pieces out of this one hunk here to replant. So what I'll probably do is set this on my drying rack underneath the barn for a few days, let it dry out, let it cure a little bit. Then we'll put it in the fridge, probably wait a couple months, maybe wait till late February or so, and then replant this for 2023. Now this spot back here doesn't look shaded right now because the pecan tree beside it has lost all its leaves. But during the summer months, when that tree has a bunch of leaves, this spot is really shaded. And we had a lot better turmeric harvest from this really shaded spot compared to what we just harvested over there in that just kind of shaded spot. So comparing those two harvests tells me what I need to do this year to get a bigger, better turmeric harvest. Now we're probably going to plant our turmeric in the same spot over there where we just dug it up, because I know I didn't get it all. I know some broke off and I probably missed some. So we're going to have some volunteers there, might as well take advantage of that. Hopefully we have enough to plant more than one 40-foot row. We can just kind of widen our turmeric area. Now that area will get progressively more shadier over the years as those pine trees get a little taller and taller, but I think I'm going to have to rig some kind of shade cloth system, maybe some kind of little low tunnel with shade cloth over it for the turmeric. I think it'll do it a lot better under some shade cloth. So we'll see how much of this Miss Brooklyn wants, and then we'll replant the rest of it in another month or two. Now one more thing I'm going to do different this year has to do with how I plant it and what I put down when I plant it. So last year we planted it in the winter, didn't come up until the summer, thought it was never going to come up, and then we kind of realized it doesn't matter when you plant turmeric, it's just not going to come up until the midsummer. You know, you can plant it right now, but it'll just sit there and hang out, and then once it gets really hot, it'll sprout from the ground. So when I do plant it another couple months, I'm going to go ahead and mulch that area, put some straw on it, probably use pine straw, just cover it up, and that way we don't have to worry about any weeds for those few months while we're waiting on this stuff to emerge. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, and back to the Brussels sprouts real quick. Let me know in the comments below what you think about our Brussels sprouts experiment. Do you think I'm kind of leaning in the right direction, thinking that it's all about just giving them enough nitrogen and doesn't have anything to do with pruning them? If you've got any experiences with that, please share it in the comments below. As always, you can find links to our affiliate partners in the description below. We've got some coupon codes for some of those companies so you can take advantage of those discounts. Don't forget to go check out our website, lazydogfarm.com, where we've got our fig trees listed now. Got some Lazy Dog Farm merch. Got our garden journal, recipes, all kind of good stuff over there. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification button, like and share, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.
Oh, farewell, by the beauty of your life.